Becca. Thanks for coming on the Amplify podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell everybody what you do and what firm you're with?
Sure. I'm a marketing manager with Johnson Lambert. I oversee our conferences and events, our webinar program, a lot of our branded collateral and design, as well as social media and a few other things far in,
Just a few things.
Yeah, yes.
What do you see going on in the industry that's got you excited?
I think something that's really interesting and emerging right now is artificial intelligence and all the opportunities that lay ahead with that. I think it could touch probably like every aspect of what we do. Not to say that it would take away jobs, just improve efficiencies and provide more opportunities to elevate our branding and how we provide our services for our firms.
My name is Metz. I am a senior growth manager with HCVT. Our offices are in Los Angeles. However, I work remotely out of Kansas City, and I currently sit on the board of directors for AAM. So.
Oh, nice. All right, cool. So you're very involved.
Yes.
So what do you see happening in the future of the industry that has you excited, it gets you going?
So obviously a lot of what we see is from that marketing or growth perspective, and I think the thing that I am so excited about is as marketers, we like to rebrand stuff, and we've rebranded marketing. We're calling it growth, and we snuck it in. And now we're speaking the language that these accounting professionals know how to speak. We previously, I think we brought to them marketing and they heard admin, and we brought to them business development and they heard sales, and we gave them growth. And now they have to work with us in the best way possible because we're speaking their language. We're saying, how do you want to grow? And we are going to show you how to get those numbers moving forward. And so we're able to speak their language. We're finally speaking the same language. And I think that incorporating growth into such a broad spectrum. So we're growing revenue, we're growing practices, we're growing people count, head count. I think that by making that shift in how we are working alongside those in the accounting industry, we're able to do so much more. And I think that we're taking big steps, and I think in just growing our firms and making change happen.
Yeah, I'm Margo Andersen. I'm the marketing director for Larson & Company. We are a CPA firm located right here in Salt Lake City. We have about 115 employees. We are a niche specialty firm. We specialize in insurance company audit, tax, and consulting. So we enjoy being part of that industry. So we feel like one regulated industry wasn't enough. We just wanted to pull in another one.
What are you seeing coming in the accounting industry?
Well, one thing I feel like a lot of marketing directors are maybe they notice it, maybe they don't, but the accounting industry has had a great run so far. Like, we haven't really seen a burst in the bubble hasn't burst yet, so a lot of firms have had a very high revenue for a really long time, and it's not really wise to think it's always going to be that way. So I feel like that revenue is probably going to shrink a little bit coming up. I do hear a lot of people talking, not in our industry, talking about the recession and the economy and the things that are kind of coming. You know, we've been through this before in 2007, 2008, and that was a pretty rough time. And I think we forget so quickly, you know, what can happen to whole sections of the economy, you know, real estate in the toilet, you know, recreational vehicles in the toilet for a while. And so to really be looking at your clients and seeing who's at risk and use that as an opportunity to show your service, the extra value that you can add with your service by helping them kind of prepare before this happens. And maybe it never happens, and that's great, but for CPAs themselves, I mean, we too are subject to that possible slimming of the revenue. And so looking at ways that we can either automate processes, increase our ability to bring in new clients, and retaining clients, I think is going to be really important, because really a client can go anywhere. They can have their pick of the litter, and they can choose any CPA to do the job. So really it's kind of go time for everybody to get on board and understand that, hey, we got to get serious about looking at our revenue and making sure we're retaining as much of it as possible.
So my name is Estrada. I'm the Vice President of Consulting for Rare Karma. and we are considered pretty much the consultants to the consultants. So we work with a lot of the firms on how and where they leverage technology and best practices and how to get people in process. And technology we call plumbing, people, process, and plumbing all working in the same direction just to move the needle and speed.
So let's talk about tech. What are some exciting tech opportunities that are you hoping to kind of get into the accounting industry in the next year or two?
It's interesting because one of the things that we've heard out of a lot of strategic meetings with managing partners and executive committees and partners in charge is really putting kind of a kibosh, not a kibosh, but maybe a, hey, let's pump the brakes on technology. Let's stop adding technology. Let's kind of evaluate what we have, and then let's figure out if, there's a better mousetrap, right? So, really what I see finally that we have, so I do work in accounting firms, but also in regular industry, like software companies or people like that. And, accounting firms are starting to come to the realization that tech can be an absolute competitive weapon, but don't just keep buying tech and have an overall strategy that meets your business goals, right? Crazy, right? Like I said in my presentation this morning, if it's not written, it's not strategic. But so the tech moves are actually, more along how are we using what we're using? Are the right systems talking in the right way? And what's the impact of people? Because every presentation I've seen here at Summit is always talent, and that's essentially what we're talking about, right? Talent, have them doing what they love, and you get people engaging with the client, not with the other staff. You're going to grow your business. You're going to do quite nice.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for coming on. Why don't you tell everybody that's listening who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Mike. I'm Judy Bodenhamer. I'm the founder and managing director of the Client Experience Group. And I guess today we're going to talk about client experience.
Yeah, I want to ask you a little bit about client experience. What do you see going on in the industry in terms of client experience?
So much is going on right now. The interesting piece for us when it comes to accounting is there's a great fear of really understanding what this experience is all about. There's a fear of asking questions of clients. And we also know that we've got succession going on. 75% of the CPAs worldwide are retirement eligible as of 2020. If that's not a call to action about what are we doing, I don't know what it is. Clients want a voice in succession, and they want a voice as far as the experience of who they're going to be working with. So when we look at the client experience going forward, we can look at succession and understand the client experience and look at it as a blank canvas to start fresh. It may have been a great relationship. It could be better. But the key is we have to understand what the experience is, what the clients expect, what role they want in succession, and how they want the transition to happen. Because they're paying all of our salaries. So we ought to honor that by asking them what they want.
Hi, Lily. Thanks for coming on the Amplify podcast. Why don't you tell everybody who's listening a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely. Again, my name's Lily Morris. I'm the internal communications specialist at Johnson Lambert. I'm in a really unique role that I love a lot because I get to sit between both HR and marketing. So I do a lot of culture stuff, a lot of collateral for our recruiting events, but also get to help out our marketing team with our website and different things like that.
And you just won Rookie of the Year, right?
I did.
That's
yes.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wanted to ask you just a little bit about kind of some of the learnings that you're getting from Summit this year, but particularly you were thinking kind of how to apply these to the next generation, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm learning so much about, even with like the sessions on client onboarding, client experience, a lot of that translates to our employer experience and what we're giving to our students who are joining us in the next generation and how we can use the different tools like AI and I love TikTok myself to reach them and create, different video content, different social content, and really engage with the next generation and let them know that the accounting industry is a very stable career path and something that they themselves can enjoy. So just really excited to get as much knowledge as possible so that we can engage with that next generation, because I know that everyone is looking to hire and we all could use a little bit of help.
Travis, thanks so much for coming on the Amplify podcast.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I'm Travis Bradshaw, Director of Software and Services Marketing at Armanino. And yeah, I'm super excited about this. So you ask me anything you want.
All right.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, we'll start with the easy one. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not easy. But what are you seeing in terms of client experience in the industry?
Yeah, it's such a great thing. It's such a hot thing right now, where I come from earlier in my career, B2C in retail. And it was all about making sure the customer had all their needs met, made them feel comfortable, let them know that you know them and you could anticipate their needs before they even knew about it. And so I see that now where a lot of that's being pulled through. Everybody, it's a instant gratification kind of a scenario. I can tap on my iPad and have something show up to my door front. Why can't we do that in B2B, right? It's a little bit different clientele, but we all want that same experience. So we're seeing that now where we work at Armanino. We have some programs that we're building out, some apps that we're building out to help cater to them. Maybe thinking about what does it mean to build a community for our clients, just for our clients, that they could have a space to talk about maybe some similar challenges that they're having, and we could moderate that. So just kind of making everyone feel taken care of. I think that's what I'm seeing.
My name is Geraldine Dressler, and I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships for Your Part-Time Controller. And we are a CAS-only firm, so we only do outsourced accounting and only for nonprofits. We've been around for just over 30 years. We just turned 30 in March. We're a national firm. We have over 1,500 nonprofit clients, almost 600 staff, and we landed on Accounting Today's Top 100 last year at 100 and this year at 75. So we've had 53% growth from last year. It's been pretty incredible.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. What is keeping you up at night when it comes to the industry right now? Maybe in a good way.
In a good way, okay. I'll start in a bad way and then we'll get to a good way. So I'm actually an accountant by training.
Okay.
I'm a CPA. I started my career at EY and I've now been with YPTC for 15 years. And to me, one of the biggest issues is the accountant shortage. We have a huge systemic issue right now. Fewer students are majoring in accounting, fewer are taking the CPA exams, and even those that major in accounting aren't necessarily going into the accounting profession. They're going into jobs in finance or tech, and this is a really big problem. My understanding from a recent stat is that there are 2 open accounting positions right now for every 1 accountant in the U.S. The problem's not getting better. This is a problem that was decades and decades in the making. I won't get into all of the systemic issues that contributed to it, but what I am hopeful about is that it's forcing firms in a good way to make changes to how they look at their, retention and recruitment strategies, and I think that plays very much into the types of clients that they serve. So we at YPTC talk frequently about working with us it's accounting with a purpose. So we work with nonprofits, and that is a thread that is woven throughout our value proposition that is very clear and understandable to both of our staff and also to our clients. And I think firms are going to have to really sell that to incoming staff, because younger people are so much more socially conscious. They're much more involved in their communities. They recognize, the existential problems that are in this world, and they don't want a job to be just a place they go, push a couple of buttons, and then come home. They want to work in places that speak to who they are and what they value. And I think that is not only helpful from the retention and recruiting side, but clients will see that too. So it's very much tied into the business development side of things.
So my name is Carrie Steffen, and I am co-founder and president of a firm called the Whetstone Group, and we do pretty much top-line growth consulting for accounting firms specifically.
You were just inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I was, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank
Congratulations.
you for mentioning that. Thank you. Yeah, it's a big honor. It's some of the most admired people in the profession, I think, are in that space, and so to just sort of be in their orbit is a big honor. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, that's huge. What are you seeing in the industry when it comes to client experience? Like, what's kind of going on, or that you're seeing in your view of the industry?
I think that what I'm really excited about for the industry as a whole is that client experience is even on the radar. I don't think it was even 5 years ago. People were talking about client service and sort of defining what that looks like, but broadening that understanding to encompass more than just the service experience, but what is it like to be in a relationship with our firm almost, is really exciting. And we are working with a lot of firms right now who are exploring even how that seeps into the marketing and branding process, because client experience doesn't start the moment they sign the engagement letter. Client experience starts the moment they start interacting and hearing about who you are in the firm. So I think that the sort of continuum of starting with, branding through the sales process, through the onboarding process, and then into the relationship with the firm is a really exciting evolution. And the fact that firms, again, are paying attention to it, I think is super cool.
Chris, thanks so much for coming on the podcast today. Why don't you
you.
share with everybody who you are and what you do?
Okay. I'm Chris Camara. I'm the editor of Inside Public Accounting, and we're a monthly publication, and we put out all kinds of data and good stories on practice management for accounting firms.
Yes, you do. Why don't you tell everybody what you're seeing in terms of tech in the industry right now? What's got you excited?
Well, one of the things I don't know if I would say I was excited about it. I guess I was more fearful of it, was ChatGPT, because like most writers, I think writing is undervalued. I really do. I mean, not just in accounting, but everywhere. I think people tend to think it's easy, and it's really, really not. So when I saw ChatGPT, I thought, oh, great. There goes my job and everybody else's job. But that feeling did not last long, thankfully. So I have found it to create a lot of bland, generic content. So I'm not as worried as I was initially, but I have found it to be helpful in some ways. So some of the marketers out there might find it to be helpful in coming up with copy that doesn't need to have personality or anything unique, but if you're looking for some short hits on, headlines, for example. So that's what I use it for, because I'm not a great headline writer in general. The few good headlines that I've had stick out in my mind, because the rest of them are sort of a sea of blah, So what I'll do is I'll give ChatGPT a prompt that says, make 3 headlines based on this copy, and then it'll spit something out in seconds, and then I'll say try again, and it'll spit some more out, or I will stick a block of copy in there and ask ChatGPT to rewrite it, and that's I think produces some so-so stuff. But Rasa's session on ChatGPT had a lot of good information in there on how you can create some good prompts, and you can get some better content out of it. But I guess what I've come away with is not to be completely freaked out by it if you create content, but to use it with caution.
I'm Holly Suburbi. I'm a senior brand marketing manager at Armanino, so really heading up the brand. And what I do is oversee our strategy for outbound and social. And key areas that we're trying to build, we're really trying to get our message into the market. So we rolled out a whole new brand message last year, and we're really trying to shift from being more of a national firm. So really building that brand visibility nationally with a lot of different strategies.
That sounds awesome. So what do you see happening in the industry that has you excited for the future? What do you see coming up over the horizon?
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's talking about the technology and using AI, but an aspect of what I'm really excited about is seeing more firms, especially ours, really using the power of the people to help build the brand and to help you stand out in the sea of sameness out in the market. So for us, we've had a really concerted effort in the last year to really build an influencers program, empowering our biggest movers and shakers. People were really hand-selected for this opportunity so that they could represent us in the best way on social media, really build their own personal brand, become real thought leaders in their niche, and really giving them the tools and resources to be empowered in that way. And there's just so much power. We have limited marketing budgets. We have things that are constantly cut. We're dealing with disruption. There's so many challenges in the marketing space, but having your people out there talking about your brand, humanizing your brand, telling success stories, really showing and not telling, that is such an amazing and magnetic power for your brand. And so I'm excited to see other firms really embrace the idea of social advocacy. We're embracing new tools to do it. We're integrating AI to make it easier and faster, because the reality is we know they're accountants and they don't have time. So what can we do to make them more effective and ensure that they're successful in representing us, and then really taking that message across the firm, working to train others to cascade that across the firm, really building a whole firm-wide advocacy effort. And we actually tied it to our firm strategic plan. So we have multiple groups that are like, hey, we're going to buy into this, we're going to help drive it through our people, through our leaders, through our geos, through our industries, and little by little we're just seeing the effect of that and the power of that, and the results are really, really phenomenal. So that's something that we're wanting to share with others so that they can really leverage that value. And it's such a great ROI for marketing, so we're really excited to see where it'll go.
Yeah, I'm Katie Cajotis, and I work at Armanino, and I am a marketing manager in charge of tax and business management and our entertainment industry.
Tell all the listeners, what kind of tech are you looking at? What kind of tech are you playing with that you think might actually have an effect on the marketing industry in accounting?
Yeah, so in my role, I feel like, all over Summit, we've been talking about AI and the impacts of that. And so for sure, AI is going to be huge this year. Thinking about it in a free capacity, but also a paid capacity, working with our marketing technology manager and getting her involved in a lot of here's my need, here's what, here are the requirements I have, and having her go find software or recommending a lot of software. But from just a me personally every day, using it to start with prompts, filling out a content brief, or thinking about pain points, or writing a witty LinkedIn post about whatever, or relating two things together. I love to just see what AI and specifically ChatGPT will come up with, because it just helps make our processes a little bit faster, free up some time to do some more strategic work, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Hey, Ed, thanks for coming on the Amplify podcast. Why don't you share with everybody who you are and what you do?
Sure. I am an 11-year AAM member. I work for Sage, and in my day job, I help accounting firms grow their CAS practices.
Yeah, and we want to actually talk about CAS today with you, because you just spoke about it yesterday.
I did.
That was awesome.
I did. Thank you.
But we want to kind of pick your brain on what you're seeing going on in the accounting industry when it comes to CAS.
Well, what's really exciting to me is CAS has been, for the last couple of years, either the top one or top two in growth for top 100 firms. And so it's finally coming into its own. It's exciting, because I've been involved in this space for a number of years, but it wasn't on the radar. And now everybody's like, wow, this is really good. We need to do this. And they're all like, we have no idea how, because it's just sort of been under a bushel, and now everybody's rushing to get in, but they're having staffing issues, so it's complicated, and it's very different than the compliance services that many firms have been built on, and it really doesn't require a CPA to do most of the work. But the CPAs are typically the ones at the sort of the top of the staff pyramid who can provide the insights that CAS can bill for or can charge for. Where, 15 or 20 years ago, if somebody said, well, I'm going to outsource my accounting, they were really talking about bookkeeping. And bookkeeping is important, but there is no parity between those two things.
Yeah, my name's Jeremy Shen. I'm the CMO at YHB. We're headquartered in Virginia and have offices throughout Virginia and Maryland.
Wow, awesome. So I have a question for you. So what do you see happening in the industry that gets you excited?
There's a lot going on in the industry that gets me excited. I think the adaptation of technology. So both on the marketing side, right? So obviously we've been the ones driving that for the firm and our teams ourselves, but now we're finally seeing that kind of tech resolution coming to the side of the firm that does the work. So the accounting, the auditing, the CAS, the wealth management. So all of it's kind of like all of a sudden they had this light bulb that I think the marketing industry's had for a long time of like, no, you have to use technology. So when they tell us we can't hire people, we have to find tools to make us more efficient. And so now they're forced to adapt. And so I think the traditionalist method of, we'll never change, we do it this way because we always have, is just it's not an option anymore. It's blown out of the water. So to me, it's really exciting to see them embrace technology, embrace change, maybe kicking and screaming, but they're doing it. And it's fun to see when we talk about on the marketing side, managing client experience, managing onboarding, helping them manage relationship, and now it can connect to our tools. So now all of a sudden they're coming out of the Stone Age and is making us better at our jobs. So I think that's really exciting. And then, do I still have time? Can I keep going? I think private equity is very interesting, and I think both sides of it are fun because whether you take it or you don't, there's a place to position yourself in the market to compete. If you don't take it with those that did, right, they're going to have to do things that you don't have to do. How do you compete with that? And so I think that's, again, forcing the industry ahead to think differently and to start thinking more like a business than an accounting firm.
Yeah, so my name is Abby Morrow. I work for YHB. I'm based out of our Richmond, Virginia office. We have 11 locations across Virginia and Maryland. And my title is Marketing Pursuit Coordinator. I work with a lot of our business development initiatives at our firm.
That's awesome. So I have a question for you, and we'd love some insight into what tech are you guys playing with that you're particularly excited about that will make an impact?
Yeah, so I'm about 7 months in at our firm, so I'm still pretty new. But one thing that has kind of been a little bit of a pain point for us that we're going to start looking into, I know in the next couple months, is possibly implementing a proposal software. So right now we're slicing and dicing different bits and pieces of proposals to be able to make that perfect fit to be able to submit it. But possibly utilizing a proposal software would help streamline that process and allow us to have more time to spend our attention in different things that we work on. So that's something that we're going to be looking into in the next couple months for sure.